So this is semifinal number 2 from the Hearthstone.fi Monday Night Community Tournament number 17. My name is Markus Olodyn Koskivirta. We will be doing these broadcasts every week, every Monday at around this time, in the future as well. We are looking for Blizzard World Championship status as a weekly cup. That would mean 17 points to the players, 10 to the winner, 5 to the second player, and 3 and 4th place finishers get 1 point each. It will be a Paladin versus Warrior match to begin with. Paladin only keeping the Knife Juggler. Unfortunately, we don't see what the other cards would have been. This is pretty much the exact same mid-range Paladin we've been seeing in the previous matches as well, with the Knife Juggler added in as flavor. And Nymerius playing the most commonly known version of Warrior at the current meta, which is the Control Warrior. This Fire War Axe in his hand, probably going to be a pretty fairly high advantage against Saftblandern, given that he can just remove the Knife Jugglers. This matchup is favored for the Warrior, in my opinion. We'll have to wait and see how Saftblandern ekes it out. The Paladin, if it gets its momentum going fast enough, then yeah, it might have a chance, but with this hand, with this starting hand, I would claim that Nymerius does have the advantage. If you're interested in checking out the classes that the players use, if you're interested in any of the brackets, who was among the players who got eliminated before we got to the semifinal stage, go to tms.hearthstone.fi and click on the latest tournament, which is ongoing right now. You can see all the players, all their deck choices, all their class choices, from just clicking on the matches and looking at the details. And this turn 4, just a Sludge Belcher. Makes a lot more sense given that anything else that he played below that curve would have been easily removable with this Fire War Axe. Options available to Nymerius are, well, attacking into the Sludge Belcher, maybe executing it, given the option to play the Armor Smith into hero ability, and he does go for it. This enables him to draw more than just one card out of the Acolyte. He could have used the Acolyte to attack into the Sludge Belcher and then use the Execute anyway, but this way you get a little bit more. The Acolyte stays alive, is able to proc the Armor Smith, and you get more draw out of it. Deciding to owl out either the Armor Smith or the Acolyte, goes for the Acolyte. Doesn't want to remove the Warrior to draw any more cards than it already has. A smart choice, given that card advantage in this matchup is going to be a significant factor. Great to hear you guys like it. Great to hear you love it. That's why I do this. I do it for the community. I do it for you guys. Not just for the Finnish people. I do it for the whole Hearthstone community. Of course, previously we had the tournament as a global event. We had Korean participants. We had participants from India, from the US, from all over the world. Unfortunately, we're forced to limit it down to the Europeans for the Blizzard formats, but I'm sure it'll still be fairly popular despite that. Especially if we get the World Championship status, then we should really be roaring. So thank you to guys for playing, and thanks for watching. Let's keep doing what we do, playing the game we all love. Playing the Equality right now is actually a really smart choice, enabling him to eke out the Sylvanas' mind control without it actually being a factor. Now playing the Knife Juggler, hoping for it to hit with the hero ability. Let's see if it does. And there we go. I'm just throwing my knives, man. I'm just throwing my knives. Happens to work almost every time. If he goes with the Shield Maiden, then he can pretty much Shield Slam anything that the Paladin throws out at him. It's actually more likely than seeing the Shield Block hero ability into Shield Slam, because of the fact that the Shield Maiden provides you with the 5/5 body on the board, and it's really mana efficient. If he's trying to draw for an answer to the smaller minions over the Shield Slams, then he might go for the Shield Block. Getting a second Fire War Axe or maybe even a Dead Spite would work, but that's always a risk to take because the Shield Maiden is consistent, it gives you a body, gives you a chance to do something. He doesn't want to waste, so to speak, the Shield Slam on just the 3-2. I understand that, but on the other hand, it might end up losing him the Shield Maiden because of the procs from the Knife Juggler. If Saftblandern had the Muster for Battle in his hand, can you imagine what that would do? It would be 3 free knives, maybe even enabling this 1-1 to trade with the Shield Maiden by itself. But now that his hand is full of spells that he cannot use due to Lothep, at least he gets Dr. Boom. Dr. Boom on this board, yes, it does get removed, but it is definitely better than not playing anything, or just playing the shield block for 8 mana. The reason why I say that the Warrior is favored in this matchup over the Paladin is the fact that these are both tournament decks. The amount of answers that the Warrior has over the amount of answers that the Paladin has is far larger. Also, many of the mechanics used in the Paladin deck are not that great against the Warrior matchup. It does have really good board clear and does have the Peacekeepers for the big minions, so in a way I do understand why the Paladin is also in a good position. You see the Dr. Boom on this turn. With the armor up, no rush to get rid of the opposing Tyrian. Probably just wants to get value from the boom bots before going for the brawl. Wants Saftblandern to overcommit to the board. Throw down the Peacekeepers on the 7-7. Maybe even utilize some of his existing minions before going for the boom bots and the brawl. If the Tyrian ends up staying on the board, it might be a really significant fail though, so I'm sure Nymerius is just hoping that Saftblandern plays more minions on the board. Because there really is no other efficient way of dealing with it, except for the potential execute with the boombot. The fact that the board is now completely empty means that we're probably going to see the execute shield slam combo come down over the brawl itself. Dr. Boom did its duty, it delayed the game somewhat. And Saftblandern did empty his hand in a fairly significant manner. And the top deck Silence goes down, forcing Tyrian to let go of his weapons, throw down his arms. That's gonna be a very, very significant turn. No Ashbringer means a lot less board control. And Nymerius is able to once again throw down small threats onto the board, turning the situation in his favor. And no, there actually are no bans in Conquest. I see you guys are asking for that. Conquest format only uses 3 decks. Once the deck has 1, there is no replaying it. So there are no reasons for you to ban any classes. The only one thing that you can lose to is not significant right now. Even if there is an out of balance class or an out of balance deck, it can only win 1 game. The rest of the game still have to be played and won by you. Seeing the Black Knight go down without an actual target enables Nymerius to just drop down Sludge Belcher. No worries in this world. Hero Power, Acolyte of Pain. Look at that amount of health. 48 hit points right now on the board. It is looking very, very good for the Control Warrior. He hasn't even drawn into any of his enters yet. There's probably a Ragnaros, maybe even Gramash waiting just to be utilized. There's the Taskmaster for the activator on Grom. I don't see there being a reason to hold on to the Taskmaster though, because there are 2 others, and he can use it to draw a card, enable this Acolyte of Pain to trade into the Aldor efficiently, and there we go. He can even opt out to take out the 4/4 if he wants with the 1/1, but on the other hand, the 1/1 is a taunt. Saftblandern has to really deal with it by himself. There's no rush, you can just go for face with the small damage you have. Mind Control Tech getting the best pick out of these 4 minions. Lotheb being a 5/5 body. Significant change on the board presence. That MC Tech RNG might actually end up being a really significant change. Due to the fact that if it had been any of these smaller minions, the Baron Geddon would have been able to just completely ruin them. The Geddon might still be the play to go for on this turn though. If you use the 1/4 or the 1/2 to take out the Divine Shield, the 1/4 to soften up the 4/3 and the 2/2 to maybe soften up the 3/3. Nope, it's still bad because the fact that the Lotheb stays alive no matter what. The Brawl is really tasty for this sort of board. You can just go for face with everything you've got, drop down the Brawl and yep, see what comes out. No matter what the outcome is, the opposing player at least loses 4 minions. You only lose 3 not so significant ones. And the 2/2 shielded Minima is left alive. Popping down the Sludge Belcher, pretty much the perfect answer against it. Unfortunately though, the Quartermaster Master Battle combo is there, so we will see 4 3/3s coming down. Doesn't mean that he can deal with the Sludge Belcher this turn though, so he will probably just not attack, and he doesn't. Now, if you're Nymerius, you're in a bad spot. Unless you draw into a Whirlwind effect, there's no way you can clear this board. If he were to have drawn into Whirlwind, he could have used that first, then just dropped down the Baron, and the game would have been essentially over. He can try to force the opposing player to react by playing Baron. He's in no big hurry, but the way that the game stands right now means that he will be destroyed. Baron Geddon will be destroyed by Saftblandern's minions. He will use 2 of those 3/1s, maybe even a 3/1 and a 2/2 to get rid of it, but more likely the 2/2 will take out the 1/2. Slime. And then Dr. Boom coming down with the hero ability means that Saftblandern is in a very, very good, strong position. If Nymerius gets a Whirlwind effect, he's in a good spot. If not, it's looking really, really bad for him. At least the big game hunter can take out the Dr. Boom. And he can delay the game somewhat by still playing down the Shield Maiden. Equality actually does nothing for Saftblandern, so that's not a bad card to draw into. But he opts to use the bombs first. If he opts to use the bomb and it draws small damage like it does, one of those 3/1s will die. I don't see a way for the equality to be more useful in the future. Because the fact that if he had used it right now, all of those minions would have been the same stats for him, and the opposing warrior is unlikely to draw into anything that would be significant. He could have used both those bombs to attack the 1/1s, or just one bomb to attack one of those 1/1s and it would have been cleared. He would have been left with 6 more damage on the board. And given the situation you're in, he would have had much better chance of ending the game early. Now that the opposing player used the Grom though, they are essentially forcing Saftblandern to utilize all the health or healing effects he can take. So he's throwing down the True Silver Champion over the Light's Justice. Alexstrasza not being helpful right now. That equality actually proving that it is worth holding on to. Forcing to be used, Alexstrasza forced to be used so that it takes off 10 of your own hit points is always pretty painful to watch. But on the other hand, you would have had lethal if Alexstrasza had stayed alive for the next turn. This Flame Tongue Totem essentially making sure that Alexstrasza gets removed no matter what.
Reporting for duty.
There is no way for Nymerius to come back from this turn. Nope. Nothing to draw that which would have made the game any better. There we go, Saftblandern goes 1-0 with the Paladin. We now know that Nymerius is a control warrior. We might be looking for another match with it. Unfortunately, I didn't have the time to check the classes the guys had. That the guys had available to them, so I'm just gonna go with whatever they choose to show us. Yep, Nymerius decides he doesn't want to show the other classes available to him. Going for the control warrior. Throwing out all 3 cards despite having shield block in his hand. That shield block might have been an okay card to hold on to. It's a guaranteed 3 mana play at least. Saftblandern could and I'm just giving Draco instructions on what to do next. So, he decides to go for the Innervated Shade. Sorry, the Coined Shade, actually. Yeah, we missed one turn there. So he can do the Innervate into the 5 mana minion play. This is the play that I would have wanted to see in the previous matchup of Draco versus Hirosawa. Despite being perfect on the curve, is really challenging. You have to use it on the 4-6, putting it down to 2 hit points. It's not optimal. I would personally prefer if he played Armorsmith into Cruel Taskmaster. This way, he has a 3-3 body and a 2-2 body, getting 1 armor out of it. The Shade would be able to trade with one of them. Deciding to go for the Shield Slam, which I actually didn't see in the hand right there, which is a good play, good decision. His armor will be demolished by this Druid of the Claw anyway, so to make it useful, he decides to use it right now before the Shade grows out of control. You could innervate the Black Knight, but there are no targets for it. It's pretty much a waste. Just playing the Keeper of the Grove for 2 damage to the face is also not optimal, to say the least, but it's your only play really. And you want to hold on to the Innervate for the Kel'Thuzad and Sneasol Shredder. Instead of doing anything, Saftblandern accidentally clicks the end turn button. That's always, of course, an option. He could have played the Hero Power. Sometimes these things happen. And yes, you guys were right about Paladin being favored in that matchup. I will concede defeat there. But the fact that he didn't play the Keeper of the Grove last turn means that his silence actually was useful. Didn't have to hold on to it for too long. Innervating out the Ancient Valor is, of course, always very, very enticing as well, but can't always have it all. The 2-4 Keeper of the Grove actually being a pretty good minion to hold on to currently. Able to clear out the opposing Taskmaster despite there being 1 more mana out of it. It's not a significant threat. This Armorsmith will be easily destroyed by Sneasol Shredder. The fact that you can actually innervate out the Sneed's Old Shredder is very, very significant. Unfortunately for Saftblandern though, it will get silenced. What else is in Nymerius' hand? The Death Bite will either provide him with a removal or a softening up for the Shredder. Yep, going for the removal and then attacking for the face. This Death Bite probably going to be used for the Death Rattle effect to proc this Execute, activate Ramage. Lots of things you can use the activation for. Playing the Ancient Lore, playing 2 cards, perfectly on the curve, no reason to waste a swipe when you can just use the Shredder to take care of the Armor Smith. The 2-1 is not really a big threat. Yes, you can use the Death Bite and the 2-1 to clear out the Shredder, but if that's the way it's going to be, then that's the way it's going to be. At least they're going to do 5 damage for it, and the activation effect is not going to be significant. If you're going to lose something to Death Bite, the Ancient Lore is fine to lose. And there we have the Execute used away before it can be used on anything more significant. On the other hand, the Druid doesn't really have anything more significant than Sneed's Old Shredder, unless maybe perhaps Kel'Thuzad. If Nymerius hadn't handled the board the way he did, then Kel'Thuzad would have gotten a lot more value potentially. I understand the need to clear the board. For War Axe would enable him to take out the Druid. Just the vanilla Ramage does very little. Maybe even an Alexstrasza against the Druid. On this curve, the Alex is probably the best play, and he decides to go for it. Not attacking with the 5-5 is the best option, there we go, because of the fact that he would have enabled Saftblandern to use hero ability to remove the 5-5. Unfortunately though, there is the Big Game Hunter to respond to the 8-8. And then gonna go ahead and use the Wrath in combination with the Zombie Chow. Oh, for 1 damage. Well, it does leave the Druid of the Claw up as well. The only reason I would have perhaps wondered about using the Wrath as 3 mana is the fact that Zombie Chow would have only healed 3 right now, but it is not significant for the Druid. If you're gonna play down Kel'Thuzad and start killing the Zombie Chow repeatedly, you might actually keep your opponent alive for quite a while. With the 1 damage though, he did get the 1 free card draw, so I understand it completely. At 10, playing the Kel'Thuzad means the opposing player gets very little value from the Fire War Axe. And since Nymerius only has 3 cards in his hand, the Druid has already seen 1 Execute, 1 Shield Slam. Has there been any other removal? 1 Execute and 1 Shield Slam, I believe. So the odds of the Kel'Thuzad being removed are slightly less smaller. There we go, the Brawl. Brawl KT with the Armor Smith down. Does the Kit Kat magic work? The Kit Kat magic works! What the actual... I'm not gonna say what, but that's really... If you're gonna play Brawl, play Armor Smith. It seems it's always gonna stay alive. Wow, yeah, so we just saw that. The Kel'Thuzad board being cleared completely by the single Armor Smith. Wild Growth for a card. What are we gonna get? It needs to be 6 mana or lower for it to be useful this turn, and it's not. Just your basic Shield Bastard into your ability. Thank you, Sweet Wafers, for following the stream. Each new follower is appreciated. Nymerius' hand. A little clunky for the situation. Sure, you can go ahead and push the damage out onto the defender with your weapon. You can finish off the Shield Mass the next turn. The Black Knight being the perfect answer against this Sludge Belcher on this turn though, is gonna make Nymerius' day that much bleaker. Maybe even a Keeper of the Grove to silence away the armor, or to silence away the 1-2. Swiping in this situation, not really worth it. I don't see a way for it to be useful right now. You can either Keeper of the Grove 2 damage to the 1-2 or silence away the 1-3 for the armor. The 1-2 removal is probably a better option because the fact that you can now remove the Armor Smith and 1 armor isn't that significant. It also denies the utility of the Fire Warwick somewhat since it's forced to be used on a one hit point minion. Ragnaros top deck, no BGH left in Saftblandern's hand. He does have the Engine of War though. And maybe even the swipe into the attack by the 4-5 if Ragnaros doesn't hit. Being forced down to 8 hit points means that you are in fact now being threatened with lethal if you leave the Ragnaros alive, or if the opposing player draws into an activator for the Grom that he's holding in his hand. You have to be aware of your situation. Playing Nymerius with the 2/2/2s. Yes, that does provide Ragnaros with more targets. But we know what RNG's can be like. He's a fickle master, at best. Let's see what it decides to go for. The Engine of War itself would be able to stay alive from the attack. The swipe plus 4-5 probably going to come out this turn. Due to the fact that you absolutely want to get rid of the Ragnaros. It's just too much of a risk to take. Even if it is just 33% for you to lose the game, it's still a risk for you to lose the game. Swipe, attack, hero power, maybe even the MC tech on a clear board, because let's be honest, it's not going to be useful this match. There we go. Now, well, the only thing you die to is really Grom plus Activator. Pattern Geddon, well, doesn't really matter, but it's going to get played down anyway because it is a threat. And if it forces the opposing player to deal with it, it has done its duty, slowing down the game somewhat so you can draw the Activator for Grom. Nymerius with the 2/2s, more than likely because you do really want that taunt. The taunt disables the Grom activation. Dr. Boom, those big legendaries coming out of the deck one by one. This might enable Nymerius to deal with those taunters fairly easily. If the swipe goes bad and the Boombot Death Rattles deal 2 damage, at least to both the Trents, then the taunts go away. There is no coming back. If you're going to use the swipe, you're going to use it on the Dr. Boom itself. And first attack with the Trents to face. Hope, just hope, that you don't get out RNG'd by the Boombot Death Rattles. Thank you, Star White, for following as well. Appreciate it. Engine of War for the taunts. Much more safer mechanic. Makes it so that the Boombot RNG has less effect on the board. And just to make sure that there is no tomfoolery going around, he's going to go ahead and use the hero power to remove the last one as well. If it hits the Nymerius, it hits the Nymerius. There we go. Pretty much the worst possible outcome. Had he not played this Ancient of War, the board would have been cleared by those Boombot Death Rattles, and he would have once again been in range for Grom to end the game. For that very same reason, he's using Ancient of War to heal and push himself out of the 12 damage range. The warrior now in a really, really bad and tough spot. Let's see. You can use either one of the 5/5s to clear out the Sludge Belcher and the upcoming Slime. The Wild Growth can be used as a draw right now. And if you're going to use the draw, you should always use it first before committing any minions. On the other hand, there are only 4 cards left in the deck, and if some Saftblandern already knows what's up, what are the options right there, then playing down the Sylvanas, knowing it's going to be the biggest possible threat, is not bad. Deciding not to do anything, hoping to draw into that execute or maybe even that shield slime. I don't think the shield slime will actually make any difference since all the armor will be gone this turn. There's 15 damage on the board. He's missing 13 damage. Throwing it all out there is not a risk. One of the brawls, the single remaining brawl, has already been used. And Nymerius would need a small miracle to win this match from this point on forwards. If he has 2 brawls, then maybe yes. That might still save him, but nothing else. Nope, won't work. And now it is 2-0 for Saftblandern. Getting his wins with the Druid. Just one more win away from the final itself. I think Nymerius will probably change this deck to something other than the Warrior. It hasn't been providing him with the desired results. And we're heading straight out into the match. I'm gonna switch the perception to Nymerius' side of the board. Just so we get a little bit more
You asked for it.
reference. Alright. Well, I guess Nymerius figured, hey, I haven't seen Mech Mage yet. I know the opposing player runs Mage, so I might as well still pick the Warrior, since it is the best against the Mech Mage. The only downside to this being, even if you beat the Mech Mage, you're still gonna have to beat the Mech Mage 2 times again in a row. And getting that perfect coined out Mech Warper synergy with the Clockwork Gnome and accelerating out of bounds as fast as possible means the match is gonna be difficult. At least you have the Fiery War Axe to take care of the Mech Warper itself. Probably gonna see the Acolyte of Pain on turn 3. Although there are no targets for Big Game Hunter, it is a bit too soft to be played onto a board like this where a single Clockwork Gnome can take care of it efficiently. And there we go. I actually forgot to add Saftblandern as well, so we haven't been able to see what cards he's been holding on to. There we go. Oh, the Warrior Killer. Chugga chugga. This is looking bad. Very, very bad for Nymerius. The Mech Mage has a very, very strong synergetic deck. A very fast start. Perfect curve, pretty much, on each turn. And Nymerius has been forced to just play hero power and passive for the first couple turns. Even this Sludge Belcher probably won't make a humongous difference. I think we might be out of sync right now. The mana crystals aren't filling up. Yes, we are out of sync. I have to leave the match. And restart watching it. Sorry about this, guys. I hope Blizzard fixes the spectator mode someday. Until then, we're just gonna be waiting for that to happen. Playing with what we've got. Armor Plating, Whirly Blades, Cogmaster, and Snowjugger with a significant presence on the board. No Brawl, no Mass Removal except for Baron, and the Baron is 1 mana too expensive. We might see an Execute on the 4/2 Yeti with the Fiery War Axe and the Acolyte of Pain. Or just the or just the Big Game Hunter, but that makes less sense due to the fact that there's once again the Clockwork Gnome just waiting to be used. That's the optimal play for this turn. Nice to see the players sit. Frostbolt to the face, forcing Nymerius into a situation where he cannot use his weapon effectively. With the arrival of the Chugga Chugga, it also makes sure that he will stay frozen for the duration of the match. Deciding to not go for face with the Tinkertown Technician is actually quite significant, because the fact that he would have forced Nymerius down to 4. Yes, the 1-3 would have been able to trade with the Clockwork Gnome, but I think that that aggression might have been the better choice, due to the fact that the Geddon can still clear it out. If he does play Geddon though, he's dead anyway, because of the fact that the Chugger and the Tinkertown Technician are able to take it. So, nope, unless he executes the Tinkertown Technician, plays the Sludge Belcher or the Shield Maiden, the game is over, pretty much. There's the execute. Do we see the Shield Maiden or the Belcher? The Maiden is better on the curve, but the Belcher is maybe more reliable. There we go, Goblin Blast Mage. He's actually hoping for it to trigger twice onto the face, because of the fact that now, if he is to draw into a Fireball, it'll be lethal. And the fact that it did 2 damage to the face meant that the opposing Sludge Belcher was at perfect 4 attack value for the Clockwork Gnome to clear out. Which is, as we all know, a lot more significant. Yes, the axe can take care of the Snow Chugger, but that forces you down to 3 hit points. The Geddon itself won't be able to do anything with the Blast Mage being there, despite same story as with the Fire War Axe. I don't think there is any way for him to get out of this without playing the Shield Maiden and hoping that Saftblandern doesn't get any sort of damage. Even a single mech would be enough. Or would it be? It would be 8, 9. Oh, it'd be 1 off lethal. Nope. Deciding to play the Blast Mage without the Battle Cry. Not optimal, but in this board state, pretty much your only chance. And your only real option. Oh, speaking is too difficult today. With the warrior being frozen and there being no way for him to draw new cards, no taunts, he chooses death, and it is 3-0 for Saftblandern. Nice win for him. Not so great for Nymerius, getting 3-0 at this stage of the game.